1. As many of you know, hosting isn't just crowd control. It's knowing your servers, how long they take to do certain things, and spacing out seating to keep both the servers and the customers happy. Most people think it's really easy and like to tell me how to do my job. Last night was no different. It was a particularly bad day all around. I was getting pulled to do other things, so servers and managers messed up my rotation. We were understaffed, and to add insult to injury, it was busy. A group of about 6 people, including a baby, walked in, and a particularly short guy. I'm talking about 5'2". For the sake of the story, we'll call him Wes. Right off the bat, I noticed something about Wes. He had a bad case of little man syndrome. He came up to the host stand and said,
"We have 6 and a baby."
Since it was busy and we were understaffed, I told him it would be about 30 to 45-minute wait. To which Wes replied,
"Are you joking? Ugh."
He turned back to his party and discussed going somewhere else. Much to Wes's dismay, they said they would wait. After about 5 minutes of waiting, Wes comes up to the stand and points out some open tables in the corner and asks why people aren't being sat there. I tried telling him that we did not have any servers for those tables, as they can only handle a certain number of tables. To which he replied,
"Oh my fucking god,"
and turned his back to his party. After about another 20 minutes, I called for a party of 2 that came in after Wes's party. Before the party even got to the stand, Wes was at the podium ripping into me about how they came in after his party did. I told him that I was seating them at a 4-top, which wouldn't fit his party. He rolled his eyes, sighed, and returned to his party. At this point, I'm so fed up with the situation, I had to walk away for a couple minutes to calm down. Finally, I call Wes's party, saying that their table is ready. Wes says just loud enough for me to hear,
"About fucking time."
I can feel my face turn red with anger and annoyance. We get to the table, I set their menus and silverware down, and turn to get a high chair for the baby. Before I am 2 steps away, Wes practically yells,
"Can we get a fucking high chair, you stupid ass?"
I'm annoyed, but I get an idea that will probably get me fired. I turn around with a sarcastic smile on my face and say, "Of course. Would you like one for the child too?" This sets Wes off, and he starts screaming in my face about how I am stupid, insensitive, and bad at my job. He doesn't stop until my 6'4", 275-pound manager backs him away from me. I get sent back to the office while my manager tries to defuse the situation. After what seems like forever, my manager comes back and asks me about the situation. I explain my side of the story and express fake regrets, hoping it will save my job. He tells me that I should be fired right then and there, but he has to get approval from the GM first. As of right now, I'm on the schedule for next week, but I'm expecting a call saying I'm fired. I've already started looking for new jobs. 2. This happened to my roommate, and I'm posting on her behalf. We also work at the same hotel. She's in the restaurant. I'm at the front desk. The boss in this is not the boss of the entire hotel, and we usually have a very informal way of communicating. Jokes and teasing are normal with the boss, and if there are problems, we talk about them directly. Also, we're Germans. Well, tonight we had a private Christmas party at the hotel. The room was set up, decorations were done, and our boss had left instructions where to find a CD player for Christmas music. My roomie was looking for it and found a DVD player, an old radio, the speaker she was supposed to use, but no CD player. Well, that's not really a problem. She also had a Bluetooth speaker and a smartphone to hook up. The old radio would have also worked with the speakers, so really no big deal. But the boss had made a point that this Christmas party better go by with no problems, so roomie called the boss just to ask exactly where the CD player was supposed to be in the closet. Well, boss was immediately pissed off that he was called on his day off, understandable, but he was needlessly aggressive, and he always says better call him before things happen. "Yeah, hi boss, I can't find the CD player. Where exactly is it supposed to be in the closet?"
"What do you mean? It has to be there, a little black box."
"Yeah, I get that, but where is it? I mean, there is also the old radio, we don't necessarily need it, and I have a Bluetooth speaker, so no problem. I was just wondering because the party is important."
"No, it's in there. Now I have to come over on my day off."
"No, you don't have to come over, we have it under control."
"Yeah, whatever, I'll call you back."
Already irked, my roommate hooked up the radio, which had a built-in CD player. It was a little tricky, couldn't just plug in the speakers, but had to connect cables. Worked without a problem. She tried to call boss back and everything is fine, but he wouldn't pick up. So all is good. Suddenly, boss shows up, basically fuming, holding the DVD player and shoving it into another colleague's arms and passive-aggressively asking, "What is this?" A DVD player? "Yeah, you just hook it up to the speakers like a PlayStation, then you can play music naturally." Yeah, that's not natural at all, but we hooked up the radio and it works fine. And I told you you didn't have to come in. And when you say CD player, I don't think, oh, he probably meant DVD player. Don't you need like a monitor to navigate a DVD player? "No, you do not. It's like a PlayStation and you hook it up and play like a CD. Like a PlayStation." Never have I ever thought of hooking up my PlayStation to a speaker and using it to play CDs. You could have said DVD player. You could have put it out for me. I told you we had it under control. There's no reason for this kind of tone. Some huffing and puffing later. He wants to inspect the room if there are any setup mistakes. There were none. That's when he finally calmed down a little and seemed to realize that he overreacted. Just a bit. And then he apologized to Rumi. Crisis number 1 averted. Christmas party starts. 10 people, lovely guests, really nice, super chill. While the party is going on, the restaurant is full, only 2 free tables. We have a very, very small restaurant. If you come in with a larger group, you should always make a reservation. Well, the group of 8 already came in without one, took a seat at the bar and were waiting for their drinks. Meanwhile, the Christmas party were getting their food and another round of drinks. Meanwhile, the guests in the restaurant were getting their food. We had 3 waiters, one for the party, one was bringing out food to the restaurant, and one was attending the group of 8, and one of those waiters was already doing overtime. Enter another group of 8 without reservation. They just wanted to have drinks, no food, and were slightly drunk already. The 2 empty tables were not together, so there was no room for them to sit. At this point, no problem. They wanted to go to the smoking room. There's enough room for 8 in there easily. My roommate told them that there's no service in the smoking room and that they could order their drinks in the restaurant and take them in there. Seemingly end of story. No, the group weren't all smokers and didn't want to go to the smoking room after all, but rather stay in the lobby, which also wouldn't be a problem in theory. But they were moving heavy chairs together and blocking the hallway and the elevator and the emergency exits. We had a lot of elderly guests with walkers who had no way of getting past them. Rumi and the other 2 waiters were just running to get their food and drinks out for the other guests, and didn't realize what they were doing until the group had already blocked the way. When the 3 noticed that everything was blocked, one of them, not Rumi, politely talked to the group and told them that they can't block the way like that. They were not having it. We were supposed to give them one of our conference rooms, which were either booked or already set up for events tomorrow, and would have cost like €300 to book. Or magically create a space in the restaurant. Spacicus. Yeah, that ain't happening. They've gotten quite rude at this point and did not want to move the chairs in the lobby, even though some guests already had to uncomfortably squeeze past them. "This is your responsibility, and so you have to find a solution. Never have I experienced such treatment anywhere. Why have we been treated this way? We had to wait more than half an hour until someone was with us." Not true. Absolutely no understanding that the restaurant was full and that you can't just show up with 8 people unannounced and expect to be accommodated. Especially in a small restaurant like ours. They were taking over us, being loud, being incredibly rude, and were just extremely unpleasant overall. We did bring them smaller chairs so they didn't block everything anymore, but Rumi and the other 2 were ready to cut a bitch. To top it off, the asshole group loudly talked about what shitty people worked here and how awful everything was while drinking and expecting to get their drinks for free. Also not happening. Thankfully, the Christmas party was super nice, and told us that another group, our favorite guests, we love them, who uses our hotel for meetups once a month, recommended us for parties. Complimented how lovely everything was and how nice the staff was. So yeah, if Rumi was superstitious, she would blame this shift on Friday the 13th. But she's a waitress, so just another day in paradise. 3. Now, I am not new to being a server. 3 years and 6 restaurants under my belt. I know a little bit about working in the food industry. I have seen many Karens come and go, but what's even better is a jerk coworker who thinks they're deserving of leaving early. Tonight was the 5th night of my coworker, we'll call him Sven, not closing, and me being the one closing for him. Now I'll give it to him. He had been sick. Can't hate a person for being sick, it happens to all of us, we're human. Sven, though, had decided to come in tonight, and last night, still partially sick, and complaining the whole time that he shouldn't be there. Alright, still sick, obviously. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He's not going to be 100% after just calling out sick all week, so I closed for him, again, last night. No big deal. Tonight, though, I was fed up. I've worked all week long, longer than I was supposed to, closing for him, and not even getting a thank you. I wanted to get off early, go home, snuggle with my dog, and enjoy my birthday the next day. I did not get that. Shift starts, and Sven is complaining about how he should have given himself another day, shouldn't be here, and feels awful. All obvious, he's still sick. Sven is notorious for getting shifts covered, having others close for him, and all around not being a team player. I'm not alone in my negative opinion of him. Now tonight, yes, the day before my birthday, I wanted to go home early. The second I heard Sven complaining, I went to my managers. I told them he was going to try and get out of work. He was going to try and get someone to cover his closing, and it was not going to be me. I wasn't going to be pulled into. Not tonight. I made this clear. Only 2 hours later, we are starting to get busy. The beginnings of a rush. We got slammed. 3 hours, several rushed tables, and happy customers with full bellies later, were dying down. It's down to figuring out who's doing what cleaning, and when we get our fourth server, a miner, out of there. We don't typically have them close, it's just annoying to give them a break toward the end of the shift. Sven was there the entire time, doing his best and still complaining. I took charge while Sven and the other closer were busy, telling the miner to take one more table, do his side work, and get the hell out before the store gets a fine. He agreed. Managers were fine with the plan. I was going to do the other half. I didn't get to. Sven decided he would do the other half and leave as soon as he was done because he's still sick. Now don't get me wrong, I understand he's sick. I understand he doesn't feel good. But he decided to come into work instead of calling off. He decided he felt fine enough to work his shift. Got through most of it and decided that he couldn't anymore. I talked to my managers about this because I was pissed. I was basically bitching to them about him. A little later, Sven is done with the cleaning. I was getting drinks for a table when he came up behind me and our miner server and said he was leaving soon and that one of us was going to have to close. No. I even said that to him. The miner wasn't going to close, so that leaves me and I am not closing. Didn't ask, wasn't polite about it, just decided to push off his job onto us. This annoyed Sven, and I got screamed at. He yelled at me to get the F over it. And effing close, I'm effing sick, I almost dropped plates mid-shift, and almost walked out. How's your effing night? It's your birthday tomorrow. Yep, yelled and cursed at. Didn't talk to me, just decided to scream. Apparently he had heard me bitching earlier, and he had told my manager this, along with saying that I was a crybaby, and was only trying to get out of closing because it's my birthday tomorrow. Now, one of many problems was the fact that we were at our drink station, which is right next to open floor where customers are seated 10 feet away. There are windows right above the actual drink fountain, and some of his tables watched him scream at me. When I passed by his table, they actually asked me to get them a different server. So, not even 5 minutes later, I started to cry. I cry when I get mad. It's what happens. I told the table I'll be back to them in a minute, grabbed a napkin, and tried calming down. Didn't work. After dealing with my table, I started walking to the back and my manager asked if I was okay. She told me she talked to Sven and that he was getting written up. She helped me with my tables while I calmed down, and when I got back up front, I went to the office and talked to her and our other manager. Both suggested taking down statements of tonight from other co-workers that saw what happened and go to our GM who would be informed of what happened. Second manager even left a note of what happened after she was informed. Then I closed. The other closing server didn't deserve to be screwed over because of Sven, and I wasn't going to make one manager stay to do the other half of serving closing. I'm too nice sometimes. Not that many tables came in, and I got to leave a little early. I came home, told my family about it, snuggled my dog, and then made this post. My family wants Sven fired. I kind of do too. He's mostly useless anyways. 4. How shall I begin to tell you this flurry tale of my now former front-of-house manager's career crash. Well, to the beginning. The restaurant setup: 40 tables, all indoor, large windows, enough seating for 186 comfortably. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 toppers. Sunday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. Normal southern menu, nothing too hard. Easy family-style meals with kid-friendly items. Uniforms: we, the waitstaff, wore black pants, no-slip black shoes, black aprons, and white button-down shirts, with any style of tie. Side note: I can tie a full Windsor knot backwards because of my husband's job. I never wore the same tie twice. He had about 380 different ties. Good God, how I love thrift stores. The setting: the South, where sweet tea is the house wine, and flows like the mighty Withlacoochee River. This is the South, where people believe in God, country, family, guns, and football in that order. Where everyone knows NASCAR doesn't stand for National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing. It stands for non-athletic sports centered around rednecks. Dale Earnhardt is loved on almost the same level as your football coach. Mosquitoes get big enough to rope and saddle, lightning bugs fill the summer evenings, as you and your loved one sit a spell on the front porch swing. Grandparents tell grandchildren stories of how their pappy ran moonshine on the back roads, flinging red clay in every direction, and the law didn't raise so much as an eyebrow as long as they got their cut. The time: Friday night, October. The weather is crisp with just the right amount of chill on the breeze. The trees have begun their yearly shedding, and you can almost smell pumpkin spice everywhere. Now, onto our story. The front-of-house manager, let's call him George, moved to our area from Montana and knew next to nothing about how the South feels about football. So here we are, 10 servers on a Friday night with 1 table sitting. George hasn't paid much attention to us. He's balancing the afternoon books and doing whatever he does. I remind the staff that the 2 local high schools are playing their big game, and we should get everything prepped and ready for 10:30 p.m. We stocked, brewed, rolled silver, wiped menus, refilled everything, moved tables, drew battle plans. I checked with back-of-house cooks, make sure they're prepping. We have all been through this Friday: big football game, small town, bragging rights for a year, with your school colors flying high, be they yellow and black cats or maroon and gray Vikings. George had no idea what was going on. George didn't ask anyone. He saw an empty dining room and decided to send people home. 3 of the staff were scheduled to get off at 8 p.m., 3 off at 10, 2 off at midnight, and me and Susie off at 2 a.m. Yes, we closed at 1. However, we allotted for slow eaters and closing duties. 3 of my servers disappeared. George, where are Amy, Beth, and Chase?
Oh, I was sending them home. We're too slow for people to ride the clock.
George, it's Friday night. We may be slow now, but I can assure you, we will be slammed around 10:30 p.m.
You can't possibly predict the future. How do you know?
I wanted to punch that stupid little man. George, do you see my tie, maroon and gray? Little LVs all over it?
Yeah, so? I didn't know Louis Vuitton made ties.
No. I'm representing my husband's alma mater. This is a football town. This place is going to get packed.
Yeah, I don't think so. In fact, I think I'll send Dennis, Edna, and Francis home early, too.
Protests fell on deaf ears. Know this, dear listener, it's getting to 7 p.m. The game will start at 7:30 p.m. If all goes well, the game will end close to 9:45 p.m., 10 p.m. at the latest. Traffic, small fender benders, police activities, horn honking down the strip, with gleeful shouting and banner waving will mean by 10:30 p.m. we will be packed. And using my best Scarlett O'Hara imitation, as God is my witness, that is exactly what happened. 4 servers, 200 guests. Yes, they packed in like sardines. By 10:37 p.m., I take drink orders. I just placed glasses and pitchers of tea, water, Coke, and Sprite on each table. I asked each table to please have just 1 ticket to minimize mistakes. I started on the right and just worked in a counterclockwise pattern. Most tables were pleasant and understanding. Mistakes were made, corrected with little fuss. ketchup flowed as the fries passed between friends, and laughter filled the air. A table cleared, cleaned, and reset within 90 seconds. The process repeated again and again. The kitchen hummed, and plates were flying out of the window, all fresh and hot. The kitchen staff were complete rock stars that night. Where was George, you ask? We, the 4 wait staff, ran his feet off. We made him clear tables, run food, drinks, clean bathrooms, seat and greet guests, take drink orders. We made him go to each table and make contact, apologize for being short-staffed, and offer free desserts. Each of us had our own special death glare we gave him any time he tried to ask us to pick up some slack because he was getting overwhelmed. 3 hours later, just over 600 checks, we are late closing, we are late getting site work done, we are sweating in places we didn't know could sweat. The front doors are locked, all lights are off. We're all sitting out the back door, front of house, back of house, and George. Smokers are smoking, non-smokers are having a cold drink. George, now will you believe us when we say this is a football town? Monday morning, George was moved to the owner's other restaurant on the other side of town. Less ways for him to get in trouble. Who won the game? LV forever. We bleed maroon and gray. 5. For a little background, I work in a chain restaurant here in the US. On a busy weekend night, we have 10 servers on the floor, 3 in cocktail, and 2 in our patio area. During the week, though, we usually have 2 servers in cocktail. This means that both cocktail servers have 8 tables in their section during the week. On to the story. I was working as first in cocktail on Tuesday night. I came in at 4, and the other cocktail server didn't come in until 5:30. We ended up being way busier than expected because of the holiday season, and I had about 11 tables. 5 of these were set, or sat themselves around the same time, so I was very busy running around trying to take care of all my new tables, on top of my existing ones. I get set with this elderly couple. They're not super friendly right off the bat, but I don't think too much of it. They're finally ready to order, and the guy tells me he wants a bison burger, with none of the regular stuff that comes on it. He just wants the meat, a slice of cheese and tomato, and he wants it medium rare. Perfect, no problem, sir. Our bison burger comes with a side of salad, but you can sub it out for any other side on the menu. He says he is fine with the salad, but he wants ranch on it instead of the balsamic. The side salad is just lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots, and dressing. Again, no problem, sir. I put the order in and return to my other tables. When their food comes out, I am taking an order at another table. Immediately this guy starts snapping his fingers and waving at me and saying, "Ma'am! Ma'am!" After I finish taking the other table's order, I go over to see what this issue is. He immediately starts going off on me about how his burger is closer to medium than medium rare. I apologize and offer to have a new one made right away. He says no, he's going to eat it. He's just not going to be happy about it. Then he yells at me saying, "I didn't want this damn lettuce. I specifically asked for no lettuce in my burger." I look at his plate. The lettuce he is referring to is the salad. I ask him if he did not want the salad and wanted a different side instead. He insists he does want the salad. I said, "Sir, the lettuce is part of the salad." And at this point I just walk away to get my manager because I am too far in the weeds to argue about lettuce with this man. My manager talks to them and takes the burger off the bill to try and appease them. Later I drop the check off. This guy yells at me again because he didn't want his burger taken off his bill, and that's not what he asked to have done. He ended up paying and tipping me like 10%. Like, sir, WTF? If you didn't want a new burger or side, and you didn't want the burger taken off of your bill, what did you want? To yell and belittle me over a $12 burger? My manager later told me that the guy wanted me to be fired over this, because it was ridiculous that there were so many issues. But his wife stopped him and said I was too sweet, and she didn't want me to get in trouble because her husband was being grumpy. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates number 76. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. Right. Now, from where I am right now, I've just got to do a little bit of work to get this video wrapped up. Then I'm on vacation. And by the time this goes up, let's see. This will be for 76. This will go up on the 28th. Okay, so I'll actually still have a few days vacation left. I'll start working again on the 2nd of January. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.